What will happen when a man brings his huge bull to an auction, hoping to make a lot of money? But as soon as the auctioneer sees the enormous creature, they quickly call 911. Little do they know, there's a hidden story behind the gigantic bull, involving greed, secrets, and questionable farming practices that shakes the entire community. So the story begins in a small farming town where Elliot, an experienced farmer, owned a huge bull that amazed everyone with its size and presence. People couldn't help but talk about it, and rumors circulated about how the bull got so big. Elliot kept his methods a secret, only sharing them with a few people who promised not to tell. Not just fellow farmers, but even the local people were curious about the bull's secret. They kept asking Elliot, but he always stayed quiet, making the mystery even more intriguing. Little did everyone know, Elliot's secret wasn't something amazing, but rather something dark and unethical. As time went on, Elliot's desire for a big payday overcame his caution. The idea of making a lot of money at an auction was too tempting for him. He didn't think about the consequences of what he was doing. His close friends, who knew the truth, tried to stop him, worried about getting in trouble for being associated with his unethical practices. Despite being warned, Elliot didn't change his mind. He was determined to take the big bull to the auction because he thought the money he would get was more important than any problems he might face. On the auction day, everyone was excited to see Elliot's enormous bull. The auctioneer, the person in charge, wanted to know more about the bull, but Elliot didn't tell him anything. This made the bull even more interesting to potential buyers, but the auction house staff became suspicious, wondering if they should let such an extraordinary animal be sold. To understand things better, the person in charge of the auction called the owner of the auction house for advice. After talking it over, they both agreed to go ahead with selling the bull, but they wanted to check it thoroughly first. The auction team took the bull from Elliot to inspect it, and they told him they'd give it back after 3 hours. Elliot said goodbye to his bull without knowing that a hidden secret about it would be revealed in the next few hours. The auction staff firstly checked the bull themselves and started to feel unsure about it. So they asked for help from John, who's good at solving mysteries, and Nolan, a vet who knows a lot about animals. Meanwhile, after 3 hours, Elliot took back his bull from the staff, but luckily the auction staff took a picture of the bull to inspect more closely. When Nolan and John arrived, the staff put all the information together and gave it to Nolan and John. Nolan wasn't sure at first when the staff showed pictures of the big bull at the auction house, but when he quietly checked the bull while Elliot wasn't around, he noticed that something was wrong. Realizing this, Nolan came up with an idea and shared it with John and the auctioneer. They understood the importance of revealing Elliot's shady practices without him knowing. So they quietly called off the auction and told all the buyers privately, stressing the need to keep the cancellation a secret. This made sure that Elliot thought everything was going according to his plan. Whereas Elliot had readied his bull for the auction, hoping to earn a lot of money. But when he got to the auction house, it was empty and quiet, which made him feel uneasy. He started to suspect something was wrong, and then realized he was stuck inside the auction room. He tried hard to figure out what was going on, and when Elliot heard the police sirens getting closer, he felt relieved, thinking help was coming. He shouted to let the officers know he was inside the locked auction house, but when the police arrived, they handcuffed him without explaining why. Elliot was confused and asked for an explanation, but no one answered. They took him to a police car, and as he looked around, he saw the auctioneer talking to officers and an unfamiliar man. The man had a bull with him, pointing at different parts while officers took pictures. Elliot suddenly realized that his secret had been discovered. It turned out that Elliot was doing something wrong. He was breeding and mixing bulls illegally to make them unnaturally large, causing harm to the animals. The town, which had once been fascinated by the giant bull, now had to face the shocking truth about Elliot's actions. The story ended with justice being served for the mistreated animals, making the community think about the consequences of greed and why it's important to farm ethically. That's all for today. Now it's your turn to share your thoughts about this story. What's the next story you'd like to know? Let us know in the comments section below, and be sure to subscribe so you won't miss any of these amazing videos on the Wild Earth.